The church glowed with golden light as guests filled every seat, whispering about the most anticipated wedding of the year. The billionaire tech mogul, Adrian Hale, was finally marrying the woman the tabloids called the mystery bride, a beautiful black woman named Amara Bennett, who had captured his heart in a way no one had before. The massive floral arch towered at the altar as Amara stepped inside the church, her shimmering white gown flowing behind her like a river of pearls. She held her bouquet tightly, reminding herself to breathe. Everyone's eyes were on her. Cameras flashed. The choir hummed softly. But only Adrian's gaze mattered. He stood at the altar in a tailored black tuxedo, watching her with a tenderness that almost brought her to tears. He looked like a man who had waited his entire life for this moment. Amara smiled at him as she walked down the aisle. She could barely feel her legs, she was floating. Everything was perfect, until it wasn't. Halfway down, a sharp pain caught her off guard. Her vision blurred. The lights above her flickered strangely. She blinked hard, trying to stay focused. She tightened her grip on her bouquet, but her hands shook. Guests leaned forward, whispering. Her heart raced. Her breath shortened. Something was wrong. She took another step. Then the world tilted. Gasps filled the room as Amara collapsed, her bouquet scattering across the aisle. Her head hit the floor with a soft thud. Panic erupted immediately. Amara! Adrian shouted as he rushed toward her, dropping to his knees. His hands trembled as he lifted her head gently. Baby, look at me. Stay with me. Her eyelids fluttered weakly. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't want today to be ruined. We're going to get you help, he said, voice cracking. Someone call an ambulance. But before anyone could dial, Adrian turned to the maid of honor and said sharply, Get my doctor. Now. The guests exchanged confused looks. His doctor? Who brings their personal doctor to their wedding? Within moments, a middle-aged man in a suit rushed from the back row. Mr. Hale, he said breathlessly. It happened? Adrian nodded grimly. Exactly as we feared. The guests froze. Feared? What was going on? The doctor checked Amara's pulse and lifted her eyelid. She needs to be moved somewhere quiet. She's stable for now, but we need space. Adrian lifted her in his arms and carried her out of the main hall, ignoring the curious stares. He didn't care about the gossip, the cameras, or the judgment. All he saw was the woman he loved struggling to breathe. He rushed her into a private lounge and laid her on a couch. The doctor began preparing an injection. Amara's breath trembled. Why didn't you tell me sooner, she whispered. Adrian took her hand. I wanted to, but I didn't want you to feel pressured. The doctor injected something into her arm, and Amara winced. Guests who had followed to the doorway could hear everything. What's happening? Someone whispered. Is she sick? Did she faint? They had no idea that the truth was far deeper. Amara weakly opened her eyes. They deserve to know. Adrian's throat tightened. Are you sure? She nodded. He stood slowly, turned toward the doorway of gossiping guests, and took a deep breath. Everyone, please listen, he said. The room fell silent. I didn't want this to be part of today. I didn't want her collapse to become the headline. But since it's happening in front of all of you, I need to tell you the truth. He paused. Amara has a heart condition. A dangerous one. Gasps rippled through the crowd. She was diagnosed when she was 19. Doctors told her she wouldn't live past 30 without a transplant. People covered their mouths, shocked. Adrian continued, voice breaking, We didn't fall in love the way you think. I met her at the hospital during one of her evaluations. She was sitting alone, crying quietly, trying to pretend she wasn't terrified. He looked at her with adoration. That was the day I fell in love with her strength. Amara's tears slid down her cheeks. I've spent 2 years trying to help her get on the transplant list, using every connection I have. But organ availability is complicated. Her condition has come close to taking her life 3 times. Someone whispered tearfully, "Oh my God." "She didn't collapse because she's weak," Adrian said firmly. "She collapsed because she's been fighting for her life while trying to give me mine." His voice cracked. "She didn't want anyone to know. She didn't want pity. She wanted to walk down the aisle like every bride deserves to." Adrian knelt beside her, brushing the tears from her face. "I planned a surprise after the vows," he whispered. "But maybe you should hear it now." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an envelope. "I found a donor match." The room erupted into shocked gasps. Amara stared at him, speechless. A donor? For me?" "Yes," Adrian said, crying openly. "The surgery can happen in the next few weeks. The only reason I didn't tell you sooner is because I wanted today to be happy, not overshadowed by fear." Amara covered her face, sobbing. "You saved my life," she whispered. "No," Adrian said softly. "You saved mine." He kissed her forehead. The guests cried. Some held hands. Others whispered prayers. This wasn't a scandal. This was love in its rawest form, terrifying, beautiful, unconditional. After an hour, Amara was fully conscious again. Adrian carried her back toward the altar, not to finish the ceremony, but so she could speak to the guests. She looked at everyone and said softly, "I didn't want you to see me like this. I wanted to be strong today. But maybe strength is telling the truth." She looked at Adrian. "He didn't just choose me. He chose my fight, my fear, my future. And that is the greatest gift anyone has ever given me." Adrian held her close. "We'll finish this wedding when you're recovered," he whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." And they didn't wait long. Months later, after a successful surgery that saved her life, Amara walked down the aisle again, this time without fainting, without fear, and without secrets. This time, she walked toward the future Adrian promised her. And this time, she made it all the way down the aisle.